Good morning and welcome to AM Live. My name is Ken Mijungu, and this morning we're discussing about the contribution to the economy, and in specific the diaspora contribution to the economy. And just a background to our discussion this morning is about a week or so ago there was the blue economy. Now the question is, how does the diaspora fit into this agenda? Secondly, we'll be discussing about how the diaspora fits into Agenda 5, or rather the Agenda 4, but the fifth one has been introduced, if at all they have a role to play in that. Plus what comes out of their activities outside. We understand that the diaspora remittances into the country is the second largest contributor to the GDP. I'll find out about that, how true that is. And I'm joined in studio this morning by Ambassador Josephine Ojiambo. She is the outgoing Deputy Secretary General for the Commonwealth Secretariat. I'm also joined by Peter Maina, who's the Chief Executive Officer for GeoNet from New Jersey, and Abdi Durrow, who is the Senior Kenya Diaspora Alliance official, and he's coming back home, right? Yeah. He's coming back home, all right. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. And the first question, obviously, when you sit here and Kenyans watch and they hear you are from the diaspora, they're really interested in knowing your background. So I'll begin with you, Abdi. What is your professional background?
Actually, I went to Texas a long time ago and moved up there and worked there as a student, and then later became a professional, worked on computers and worked on airlines, and later became also a community leader in the area. But I came back in 2013 to come and give back to the community what I've achieved up there when I was there.
Okay.
And my goal was to go all the way where I came from, Wajir, and see what I can do and what can I help, where I can do. What is the most important thing that I could help was more of physically and being present around and seeing that I can do. While you are there outside, you couldn't do much.
Okay.
But once we came back, I thought maybe I could do better and do great work. So that's why I came back. I came back 2013. Since 2013, I ran for Member of Parliament in Wajir. I lost, but I still am part of the community. I'm running around working with the county programs and the Kenya Diaspora programs, which I'm trying to see that people have to come back, help the Kenya, because we come from here, and how can we better ourselves and not to forget ourselves in abroad.
Okay.
So that's the main reasons. All
right, but the question is, everyone who goes abroad never wants to come back. So the question of wanting to give up actually doesn't suffice, doesn't come in many discussions.
I believe sometimes it's a calling.
Okay.
And a point in your life is when you reach that you want to help. What can I do? If you are doing something good for yourself up there, and then at a point will reach that, I need to go back home and see what I can do or how can I help. Or situations will make you move on. That, hey, I think I can change some of these things. So having gained the experience, having gained the traveling up and down there are things that you interrelate that, oh, I think I can do this back home, or I think I can do that and that.
Okay.
So others may not be having the chance to do it, but others also is just a calling from God, or the chance you've been given by God to come and help and to be part of the community. And obviously people come for vacations and holidays.
Okay.
And then it's when they see, I think
opportunities
I can do better.
all over.
Yes.
Okay.
Opportunity in helping yourself, yes, is there.
Okay.
But the most important thing is, how can we change the lives of our guys up here?
Okay.
And so it can be better like the others.
Because mostly the people who have done great things, even in terms of introducing new technologies to this country, are people who've lived abroad. I know of a story of, for example, Esther Passaris, who went and lived in South Africa for a while.
Right.
When she came back to the country, she began Adopt a Light, because that's what she saw. But it's just across in South Africa. So that happens a lot. Yes, I'll be talking to you more about what you are coming in with. But let me speak to Ambassador Josephine. And of course, this is not the first time we're meeting, but you've been away for quite some time, and now you're back in the country?
Yes, Ken, nice to be back.
Yeah.
It's 10 years ago since we last had a conversation on the set.
Yes.
Yes, I'm back home.
Yeah.
My name's our Ambassador Dr. Josephine Ojiambo. I am by training a physician in public health, and I worked in that capacity for a number of years in Kenya. And also because of my calling for representing women and their reproductive health and rights, went into party politics and worked in my political party at that time Mama and Baba Party KANU on the ground, and rose through the ranks over a period of time, and eventually joined mainstream political party politics. Was nominated from there into diplomacy and retrained in international relations and diplomacy, and deployed as ambassador and deputy permanent representative of Kenya in New York. I worked at the Kenya Permanent Mission to the UN for a period of 3.5, 4 years, and then was honored by an appointment to work at the UN at the Secretariat in a special agency called the UN Fund for Population Activities. I was there for 2 years, Chief of External Relations and Intergovernmental Affairs, and after that, again, was asked to join the Commonwealth Secretariat. Now, I've been at the Commonwealth Secretariat for 3 years as Deputy Secretary General, initially in charge of politics, the rule of law and human rights, and later in charge of youth, economic, social, and sustainable development.
Okay.
So I'm back home now, and I bring all those skills
back. Quite a lot. In 10 years. That's a lot. That's what we do in our lifetime in this country. All right. Let me speak now to Peter Maina, who is the Chief Executive Officer for GeoNet Communication Group. Your background is communication from your position.
Actually, my background initially undergraduate work was in wildlife management.
Okay.
My last station in Kenya was at Kenya Wildlife Service.
Along Langatu.
As a management planner, managing planning there. But at graduate school back in New Jersey, I ventured into information technology, mainly satellite remote sensing. And it's out of that, as an effort trying to build data systems as a consultancy, we formed a communication company that offers telephone services between Kenya and the diaspora.
Okay. So international services.
Yeah, we are on the US side, we are licensed by the Federal Communication Commission as a global telecom.
Okay.
And here, Communication Authority has a license as an international gateway service provider linking Kenya to the outside world.
So you're the people who terminate the international calls?
We are the people who are supposed to be terminating international calls.
Yes.
And we have the license for that. But above all, we are the people competing with WhatsApp on an app called GeoSafari.
Okay.
That is available globally.
Oh.
And running from Nairobi.
I have to confess that I don't have it. I know, but
yeah,
I don't have
but it's
it.
running from Nairobi.
Yes.
You said, when you're talking to Mr. Abdi here, you mentioned that many people, when they go out, they don't come back.
Yes.
I've been living in USA since '86. I have never met a Kenyan who is not looking to come back to Kenya.
Come back. Perhaps I know relatives who wouldn't come back.
Every Kenyan wants to get a chance. Even those who have no papers to come back to the U.S., they want a chance to come and be part of the economy, be part of the dialogue here. Every Kenyan leads nation newspaper almost every day, and Standard, whatever, because we are so connected with home. And the proof of that is actually the amount of money coming from North America as a remittance. I was just looking at central bank statistics today, and the last month we had the total remittance were over $219 million, but North America contributed 109.
Out of the 200, more than half.
More than half.
Yes.
So yeah, in North America, the people have come across, and I have been part of the community. Most of my graduate work time, I was also a pastor to the Kenyan Christian Fellowship in America.
Okay.
And so I know the people. They want to invest back here. They want to come back.
So east or west, home is best.
Yes, home is best.
All
yeah.
right. You've given me a sneak preview of what exactly you're doing in the country right now. But I'll go back to Durrow, who is a politician, because I want to get out of politics. Apart from politics, you were in the airline industry and all. Have you invested in that back home, or are you connected in any way to such services here?
No, I did both airlines, and also later joined social worker, worked with an IRC as a coordinator in Texas.
Okay.
And worked with refugees which are coming from the whole world, different places, Philippines, Vietnam, Africa, whatever, and settle them down. That's when it dawned on me that, oh, really, I can help people. So I was helping refugees right there, resettling them back in the U.S. when they are brought in when they are fresh. So that what made me actually that I can do better, helping back home. Okay. So, and about being professional, is sometimes when in some of your time in your life, that will say, oh, I got to do this to help. So it has reached that stage where I was like, no, we're not going to do any more work like this, so I'll go back home and help. So the biggest problem people in diaspora have, the remittance you send $200, $300 per person sends it, does not help anybody much. And even if you send them money to be invested in certain places, may not even work well. So you have to be physically around to make sure that things are going the right way and you can do better. So that's why sometimes some of us come back, those who can afford or those who can do it. Coming back, you said the women rep, Nairobi women rep had done some programs. Yes. Everybody who's out there, once he comes back, he wants to do something good for that community or wherever he can help. For instance, the first thing when I came here was, like, I saw discontent among the youth and the communities that about, I couldn't see much of, you know, the cohesion that I wanted, the cohesiveness that I wanted from the community. So my goal was, how can I make these people to be more patriotic? How can I make them feel better? So like our friend were discussing, oh, how about if we change the Kenyan national anthem to Somali language, where everyone in the vernacular language, where everyone in Kenya, in Somali areas, in the northern part of Kenya who speak Somali, they can sing the national anthem in their own vernacular language at the early age of 5 years, 4 years old. And then they realize, oh, this is a prayer, oh, this is how good it is. So that person becomes more patriotic. And then change the other. Then we thought of, oh, how about if we go to the 47 counties and then we change every language we know, about 40-something languages. We can change the national anthem where everybody understands what the national anthem says in their own vernacular language. It changes the heart of the person. So there are so many projects that you think of when you come back, how can I help? Others we had was peace programs where we did chanting and organized programs where people can be, communities who are fighting, can come together and dance together and chant and dance together and eat together, and then the fighting people forget. So there's so many things we can do, not only about remittance, and it's true the way Peter said about remittance. Kenyan diasporas, people abroad, and diaspora does not mean only the US. I think the diaspora can be right from Uganda, right from Sudan, right from Somalia. You can't believe the number of people we have that work outside in Somalia or South Sudan or Uganda. There are a number of people who send money every day. So it's important to realize that everybody who's beyond our borders are Kenyan diasporas. And I believe they are about 3 million, and we can do better. And they can all be ambassador for Kenya and bring better solutions, better work, and to help Kenyans. So that's what we're trying to advocate for the diaspora people, that they need to be helped. They need to work with our team here in Kenya. We need to work with the government. We need to work with the politicians so we can better ourselves and the experience they have gained. The other day I was seeing a professor in London who was part of the transportation team in London that was helping them to ease the congestion. Well, we could have tapped those people. We could have contacted them if we had the chance, or them also can come and forward and volunteer themselves and say, what can I do to help to ease some of this congestion?
And unfortunately, it's very hard for the government of the day to listen to the people in the diaspora. I was at a function where the president, I think at the KICC some years ago, sat with the diaspora, and there were a lot of questions on what the government can do to the diaspora. Let me bring Ambassador Josephine, because you are involved in the political process. I just like your views on the participation of the diaspora in making local political decisions.
All right, thank you very much, Ken. The diaspora is a very engaging part of the Kenyan community, abroad and also here. And let me first define what we mean by diaspora, and I'll do it in a very, should I say, philosophical way. Being a diaspora is a state of being. We can be diaspora if we'd like today. It's a state of becoming. You have no guarantee when you will be a diaspora. And it's also a void that encompasses the possibility of never arriving, because there are some who are diaspora today, returnees tomorrow, and back again. So let us not draw any distinction between us as Kenyans at home and the diaspora out there. They're just part of us. I want to also mention we have key diaspora in government. Our head of state studied abroad. You know, our former prime minister was at one time a diaspora in Germany, but they're back home. So many of us can be or are becoming to be diaspora. Moving from there, I also want to just give facts and figures. During this year, up until this month, or let's say up to October, the diaspora had remitted almost 250 billion Kenya shillings into the economy. This is more than the foreign direct investment and the overseas development aid we receive as a country.
Right.
Now look at this great amount and volume of money. How is it being organized? It's being mobilized, but can it be organized so it actually impacts our economy? We're doing well in organizing our bilateral and multilateral donors, but we need to also spend time and energy in organizing these remittances. And guess what? Diaspora are not only giving us remittances in finance, their social capital is the largest remittance they give to our country.
Okay.
And now, how do we organize them? And this is what you're saying. Well, in 2014, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Government of Kenya, launched the Kenya Diaspora policy. And part of it is, of course, to find out where the diaspora are, to map them and know what they are, their skills, their talents, their interests. What we're saying is that now this lovely integrated diaspora framework needs to be rolled out and begin to actively capture where the diaspora are. They're active in their cells, their church groups, their social groups. Sometimes they come to the missions abroad, and that's where our head of state and other leaders meet with them. But we need to go a bit further than that to fully capture how many Kenyans are out there and what they're doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you think that's going to be easy with technology, right?
It's going to improve its technology, but it must be a two-way street. There must be the development of frameworks and policy that can allow diaspora to come home. Now, what do I mean? At home, we're celebrating the devolved government. We'd like to be sure that the counties actually map their needs and profile these needs to the diaspora. So those diaspora with talents can say, you know what, I have a talent. I'd like to go back and work in Wajir or in Makueni or in Nairobi, and I can fit into this particular program X.
Okay.
On the other hand, from the county, they need to also profile the opportunities. People in the diaspora work in governments out there.
Right.
They know how to work efficiently in government. What can they bring to improve government efficiency from the diaspora? It's a two-way street, and that needs to now be enhanced in order that we get our diaspora to come back home. And more importantly, we need to tell the Kenya-centric story. The diaspora out there have heard too much bad news in the form of Anglo-centric or American-centric stories about Africa and Kenya.
Right.
It's time to paint the picture of Kenya.
The real picture.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's what they can do for the country. I'm just wondering, before I cross to Peter, in a country where the opportunities are very scarce, especially mainstream opportunities, I'm talking about the public service, right? How do you create the opportunities for the diaspora back home? For example, would they even love to work in the public service when they come home? And how do you create that opportunity, noting that this country has very little opportunities, even for the residents? Yes.
All right, some diaspora exist in academic institutions abroad. If we can offer them the way that they can do sabbaticals and exchange programs, then they would be funded and sponsored by their universities. MIT, for example, would be happy to put in place a program on IT and technology with maybe the University of Nairobi. And there are diaspora who have the resource base to do that. So they're not draining already fragile resources, but bringing resources in. On the other hand, the diaspora out there are very innovative. We have an economy that actually is driven a lot by the informal sector. If they were able to understand that there are processes in place so that they can engage in business in a fair and transparent way, they would be happy to come back and engage here. And they are people who can create jobs anyway.
I have my office in Nairobi linked to my office in New Jersey. Any call coming to New Jersey comes also here. These are technologies we are creating to make sure you don't have to be locally in Nairobi to serve this country. You can be anywhere in the world in the cyberspace, and you're helping your country.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, listening to you and knowing that you have the Diaspora Alliance, right? Is this sentiments that are shared across, or a few elites within the diaspora?
No, there's not
Alliance?
elites. Everybody. I mean, there are many organizations, obviously.
Okay.
But this is not an elite organization. It's people who want to be part of the economic dialogue of this nation.
Okay.
We have, even if you've been out, like for us, some of us, 30 years or more, you still have an uncle or a sibling who is left behind here. You still care about them. You still want them to live in a better environment. It's not many Kenyans that come here to see here. They don't want to be hand-me-down clothes, hand-me-down, this and that. They want to be able to do work with their own hands.
Okay.
So it's not elite. They want to come. They want to be involved. Now, there are so many organizations. KDA seems to be a bit aggressive in trying to put all these minds together from various states, from various nations, and even those who have returned, KDA has reached out to them say you're returning, you're still part of us. Okay. You can contribute something to this nation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Justin, before I come to you, you spoke about a framework that has been created by the government. Is it sufficient? Is it providing that platform that you think KDA requires?
Well, now we want to help it roll out faster. We have now lots of ICT support with the KDA. We have the diaspora policy, and like I said, it's a two-way street. The diaspora need to engage government, and government will therefore roll out what it has. But the thing is, we're saying here we are, engaged with us. We are meeting together now. Many of us know where Kenyans are outside. They don't necessarily all come to the missions, but we're engaging their groupings. KDA has been in place. This is the 5th annual convention. Let's now engage and see how we can roll it out. And KDA, in, for example, Kenya, is reaching out to young people, to women. We're also reaching out to the countryside through the alliance. But guess what? Even outside, it's not a preserve of the elite outside. KDA is reaching to those small social groups outside in the diaspora. And I want to say that remittances don't just go to capitals like Nairobi. You find that diaspora are remitting to their mothers in their countryside. They're paying school fees. They're building homes and houses. They're paying for water and electricity. We have M-Pesa today that reaches every corner of Kenya. M-Pesa exists.
And 200 countries globally just last week.
Precisely.
200 countries globally.
And M-Pesa, therefore, is the greatest utility to the diaspora. And if it wasn't that, there's Western Union. Guess what? That reaches every part of Kenya.
Okay.
The diaspora are actively involved.
Right. To put more on the weight on what my friends, Ambassador and Peter have said, the diaspora, the people out there, very good Kenyan hard-working team that we need to be at least be part of the system or part of the country. His Excellency President Uhuru has come up with the four programs, the four main agendas.
Yes.
And we will actually love to be the diaspora to be the 5th one, because the
6th, because he put corruption there as the 5th.
Okay, so the 6th one.
The 6th, yes.
The 6th one can be the diaspora issue. Why I say that is because they have potential. They have a lot of things that can be tapped. Now we do have the Kenya Diaspora program that's coming up on homecoming convention on 19th to 21st of this month, and it's going to be held in Olisireni, where a lot of people will be coming. So in this regard, what I'm saying is that we do have a lot of young people who are unemployed here. Now, how can we help them? And we can help them in so many ways. In other countries where they do have ministries, they do have departments of diaspora that works on Ministry of Foreign, that works only with the diaspora programs, where we can facilitate even looking for jobs or looking for programs for these youngsters who are up here, who don't have jobs, who cannot work anywhere. But we can help them by facilitating some of the programs, facilitate their visas, facilitate their programs that they can look for other jobs other ways. Otherwise, they're having problems even processing a passport. Okay. So how do you help a youthful team that is about 45%, about 40%, unemployed, about 15 to 20 years? Mm-hmm. So we do have all these youngsters who are unemployed. We can help them by if we had a ministry or a department that works with the diaspora, we can help them even facilitate some of their programs, get their exchange programs where they can do. Other remittance. The diaspora have remitted more than the tourism, more than the cash crops, whatever.
Is it the first or the second?
Very nice.
It's number one.
It's the first.
It's the first. Yes.
Foreign currency.
Okay.
If we do have, a team that is contributing to the economy $2.5 billion in a year, I think we ought to, as a government or a country, we ought to look to their side and see how can we achieve more. How can we make 2.5 to be double next year, so we can have 5 billion.
But even as you make that argument, there is a counter argument to the amount of remittance in terms of foreign exchange that comes to this country. The argument is it doesn't go straight to public service or to the help of the majority. It's individual. You remit to your family. Remit, yes, but it doesn't come, but you quantify it in totality and say it's a lot.
Ken, what makes the economy moving?
Yeah.
Last year, just a few weeks ago, we had the blue economy.
Yes.
Right. The convention, when you bring 15,700 people to come to Nairobi, do you know that boosts the economy?
Obviously, there's a lot of money that comes in with that.
Yes, that goes to all the way, it trickles down to the guy who is picking the bag from the airport, helping the taxi driver, the caretaker. So all that helps. So every dime and every credit
Counts.
that comes.
Yeah. Okay.
That goes all the way to the lower level of the counties and the divisions and the streets, has helped the economy to grow up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Understand.
Even if I sent to my brother or to my uncle $100, they're not going to buy anything with $100. They have to convert it. That's what you've had the governor of the central bank being quoted about this conflict with IMF, saying the shilling is not threatened. We have enough foreign reserve. We have enough foreign currency, especially from the diaspora. So even if we are sending not to the government, we are sending to our families, that's to
Has to
get
come
back the
back,
system.
yes.
It's getting the economic system. The economy is a system.
What's our reserve
Also,
base? Would you be aware of our reserve base? What we have?
no, I'm not
You
aware
would
about
not be
the
aware,
reserve
okay.
base. But at the end of the day, once you stimulate consumption in the country, whether it's by somebody just buying extra sweet potatoes or buying some milk they didn't have or a cow, you're stimulating consumption in the country. It kind of cascades, or
Okay.
it kind of felt across the whole economy.
Okay.
So whether money is going directly to the government, and why should the money go direct to the government? After all, there's a lot of wastage in the government. If there is something the diaspora hate, it's inefficiency that you see in this country. And if there's anything that I believe diaspora can contribute to Kenya, is how to run efficient public systems.
Okay.
Okay, and especially with technology, how to improve production in this country. Okay.
Can
So,
I pick up on
go
that
ahead.
one too?
Please do.
I want to
Yeah.
speak about the upcoming Diaspora Convention. And
I wanted to speak about it. I wanted to speak about it before we end the show, but go ahead.
Yeah, I'll speak about
Yes.
that one and the blue economy. But just to say, we're going to have some very important diaspora leaders here, one of them being Dr. Mohisa Kitui, who is Secretary General of UNCTAD. That's the UN Organization on Trade and Development. But I want to speak about him and the theme of our upcoming conference. The conference is going to look at knowledge management and youth engagement. You were speaking about that just a few seconds ago, and how will young people be involved? One of the themes of this meeting is going to be Sinema Mashinani. So one of the most important sectors of the global economy is now the creative economy. This is the economy that is driving Nigeria. We have Nollywood. In India, we have Bollywood. In the US, we have Hollywood. We have our own Lupita Nyong'o really out there in Hollywood. So I want to just say that Sinema Mashinani is going to be on show when we get to our upcoming convention 2018. But I want to say that the creative economy continues to grow and is going to be a great employer of young people. So this is one place where young people will be involved and engaged. I'll move from that and go straight to another area. You spoke about the blue economy, and I think you mentioned the role of diaspora. I'd like to say, given that the diaspora are remitting $2.5 billion US, if that money was applied well to the blue economy in terms of their skills, their resources, their knowledge, and the innovation that they bring, then the diaspora could engage in looking at new ways of making fishing and fisheries sustainable. Look at how we can promote tourism from outside to Kenya and then utilize the marine parks as a part of our tourism package. Look at marine transport and ask those great engineers out there how they can contribute to maritime issues, and in particular maritime transport. Okay. Learn from developed world how to reduce plastics in our water systems, how to properly manage waste, and ask our engineers and people who are environmentalists outside to come and engage locally. This is another way where we can tap on the diaspora. Before I end, our upcoming convention has a team of youth that are working daily to identify innovation amongst their fellow youth on the social media. And we're going to put on show innovation from young people, Kenyans both here and in the diaspora, when we get to this conference, so that we are not just token. We're actually going to promote innovation from young Kenyans at this meeting.
Because I really wanted to go specific to the build-up to that conference with the just concluded blue economy, and I wanted to ask first, how, in your view, how it ties in with your role.
Well, you're talking of, let's just talk about the marine part. It's 100,000 square kilometers of our economic zone out there in the Indian Ocean. That is land, is a resource that can be a marine resource that can be actually so helpful to this country, from, as she said, fishing, to a point whereby, have you thought of desalinization? Just being able to tap the ocean, remove the salt from the water, and be able to have enough water to irrigate Kilifi, Kware, Lamu, and other places. We have a huge, huge piece of real estate there that we need to tap into. Now, as with any other investment we have done in this country, diaspora would like to have the confidence that when you, let's say, invest in a trawler, a fishing trawler, you're not going to be competing with a Chinese fishing ship there. You're not going to be competing with some people from Southeast Asia who don't even pay for licenses to come and fish in our waters. I know that the government, the president, has done a great job in trying to introduce the Coast Guard to patrol that portion of our economy, that part of our service area in this country. But we have to be given the confidence that you get the license on time. Sometimes we come here as people from the diaspora, you have maybe a week. You can't get sometimes processing all these licenses you need to start the business of fishing in Mombasa. Okay? And when you depend on Kenyans, maybe people who are locally here, to help you build like that cold storage, in most cases, you lose money. In most cases, people become kind of greedy, and because almost corruption has become a way of life in this society, it's become pretty much accepted. People, I thank God for the president pushing so hard to defeat this vice. But people have been, you look at the statistics, young people believing you cannot be rich, you cannot make it in life unless you're corrupt. That is a lot of effort we have to do to reverse that. So people from the diaspora, especially let's say from the US, you don't want to be involved in corrupt deal to get a license quickly. You'll be jailed. There is an act, Anti-Corruption, Foreign Corruption Act, that will cause you get jailed once you leave Nairobi to go back to New York. Right. If you corrupt somebody here. So diaspora want efficient system to be involved in that broad economy. We want to be able to be allowed to get quickly, maybe process licenses from the embassy in New York or Washington.
The ability to do it even outside the country.
Yes, just come and get the job done.
And I know this conference runs from the 17th to the 21st of December, right? That's just the other week. But on the same question, yes.
I would like to ask some of the ideas of the blue economy, what the diaspora people can do.
Yes.
You know, the most funny thing is that it's amazing to find Kenyans who are working in Alaska, in the middle of the sea, where it's frozen, and they are working on big ships, catching fish, and being trained to work on those ships, and that have tons and tons of ships, the fish that supply to the U.S. If they can go and work in that crazy weather, where they're in the middle of nowhere, in the freezing place. So if they can work in Alaska,
why can't they?
They can work in Mombasa. So they can be working and do better and bring those skills where they have worked on those ships, they have manned those ships, they became managers and supervisors, some of them, Kenyans that I know, and they can do better if they come here. But now that, right now we have a good opportunity. We have His Excellency Prime Minister Raila, and we have His Excellency the President Uhuru Kenyatta, who are working together hand in hand. We can use the diaspora. What can they do for this country? So we can help the two guys to move this country better, or a better place. So that now it's up to the callings from the leaders to challenge the Kenyan diaspora abroad. What can you do for your country to help? For instance, if it's about tourism, you can imagine you don't need an ambassador everywhere, but you have an ambassador from Kenyan diaspora. Everywhere there's a Kenyan diaspora somewhere. Someone working, yes. Now if the president asks, hey, we want all you guys who are up there, can you market your country? Can you do something for your country? Then they can all act. So what we want to do is that our leaders to tap to the Kenyan diaspora so that they can be helpful. Whether they're in Moscow, whether he's in Mexico, whether he's in Dallas, they're all the same. But one thing I can tell you, that we will have everyone somewhere, somebody somewhere, that will be talking about Kenya, oh, we have coffee. Can you come get coffee from there? And you can imagine all that can be done. And not only the money, the knowledge also. If these things were tapped, and we have some shortages somewhere, or we need something, it's just a call. Just the way in case there is a disaster, you ask for a call for help. When Kenya Diaspora can be also tapped to it, and they can be told, where can you help, where can you do, and how can you help this? Okay. So that will be working.
Like right now, what I'm seeing on the blue economy, it's more like a government statement of intent rather than an action plan. For example, if I was going to invest in cold storage, which is one of the biggest challenges when it comes to fishing, you know, you getting fish from the water to get to the market without getting spoiled. You need cold storage and cold transport. How am I going to compete with Chinese selling tilapia? The government should be able literally put tariffs or stop tilapia from China getting into this country. If they don't do that, no matter how much money we invest, we cannot compete with Chinese very well.
Did you hear about a month ago what the president said about the fish? Yes. It almost sparked a diplomatic row between Kenya and China.
But people have to be a little bit selfish at some point. How can you let this country import tilapia?
Virtually everything, including tilapia.
How can you let it into tilapia?
I heard of an example of a hotelier who said that he supplies about, to the customers, they consume about 200 kgs of fish.
Yeah.
And then he looked at that vis-a-vis the production, right? And from the area he sources the fish from, it was impossible to get that number of fish from that area to feed the clients, right? So where do you get the surplus?
You can do it in Nairobi.
I do have an answer for you. The other day I've seen a video clip where the blue economy, the president was talking to some people from Somalia, and he was jokingly they were telling him, can we bring fish to supply because they have all that big sea around them.
Oh yeah, by the way, Somalia.
Yeah. And then they replied them, yes, you bring the fish and you take me out. You know, that was just a joke between the president.
But it's a joke that is practical.
Yes, very well. So I mean, there's fish. There's fish everywhere that within
we
the
don't need to go to China.
No, we don't need to go to China. And besides, the other day we were in Somaliland. Somaliland had a function here where they were saying, why do we have to bring items from Dubai when we can get it from Kenya? Why do we have to go to abroad somewhere else when we can get tea from Kenya?
The cost.
Yes.
The cost.
So the idea is only us to tap to these programs around us, within our area. So it starts with the diaspora. It starts within the neighboring countries. And this economy will go better and we can do better.
Because I wanted to ask about how, for example, do you think the diaspora can balance the trade deficit in several of these countries they live? How do you think they could do that? Is it it must be government to government, or is a part that the diaspora can?
No, we import. Like for example, let's talk about East Coast of New Jersey. I mean, of the U.S., like in New Jersey.
Yes.
We drink Kenyan tea. We drink a lot of Kenyan coffee. Kenyan coffee is becoming very rare. Tomorrow, I'm meeting with a Kenyan supplier here, whom I'm telling him we can help you import your coffee, and we'll help you supply. We are doing that as a diaspora because this is something we like consuming, but it's becoming rare.
Yes.
So we can balance the trade by making sure a lot of people in the diaspora are buying Kenyan products. But we do need kind of a government facilitation in some way between the Ministry of Trade and let's say the U.S.
So at the end of the day, it has to go back to the government.
Somehow you have to work with the government somehow.
But the government is not let's put it this way, its ears are not shut. I think that we must see this as a two-way discussion. There's a responsibility both on government, but also one on the diaspora. But I also want to say at a macro level, those remittances, if they can be organized well, reduce pressure on the remittances that government pays internationally. So that's a way that it balances trade at the macro level. But then I also want to say the diaspora also are able to bring on board best practice. Now I want to give you two. One is if you look at Seychelles, they were able to float internationally a blue bond around the water, the marine resources, the fishing, the fisheries, the parks, and put this into the international financial market, a blue bond. You're talking about central bank bonds. Theirs is based on the blue economy. So let's bring this best practice to bear off the coast of Kenya and see how we can make our marine resources equal to a blue bond, and this will help in terms of economic value. That's one. So I think there's more, but that's one very practical way that we can engage.
I like that. The government ears are not shut, they listen too. We have a few minutes on the clock, and I'd like to focus on the conference. And first, perhaps take us through what we expect during the conference. Let me begin with Peter.
The conference actually, as Madam Ambassador here said, we have prominent Kenyans that will be really impacting their wisdom in investment, like Dr. Kitui, who used to be a trade minister here, has a lot of ideas in terms of how the diaspora can continue being engaged in the country in terms of investment. I do expect, like I think one of the keynote speakers is a former ITU
Yes.
senior person
Senior
there.
Secretary General.
Secretary General, yeah. And I think what he is going to be impacting to Kenya is how to involve the diaspora in knowledge-based economy.
Okay.
How do we really invest in IT in this country much more, which is my area of interest. And I expect maybe a lot of advice, and it's not, from him and others who will be involved at the conference. And I think, Ambassador, I'm exiting the country. I've been here working for 3 months. Ambassador can articulate more on others who will be at that conference that we believe will be impacting to the diaspora the confidence we need that, yes, we can return, invest in this country, and benefit.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll pick up from my colleague, Peter. There'll be a number of real, should I say, stars on show at this meeting. We've mentioned Dr. Mohisa Kitui. Peter just mentioned Amadou Toure, who is now the Secretary General of SMART, or Director of SMART Africa. Amadou Toure was the Secretary General of the International Telecommunications Union, the primary arm of the UN in telecommunications. And now he's working with President Paul Kagame. But they put in place a way where telecommunications is now a mainstay for all economic activity in Rwanda. And not only that, across Africa. He's going to be here, we're going to learn from him. We also are going to have Ambassador Bashar, I think, Hussein. And he now is in charge of the UTU.
Yes, UPU.
UPU, that's the Postal Union. And again, we're going to have lots of input in terms of telecommunication from our own, very own ambassador at that level, Director General of UTU. Beyond that, we're going to have His Excellency Mwencha, former Deputy Commissioner of the African Union. By the way, for the African Union, the issue of diaspora is their 5th pillar. Okay. So he's going to be able to tell us about how the African Union looks at diaspora. And it's important because when a Kenyan is out there, you look black to everyone or brown, but you're amongst all the body of Africans. So how we actually engage as an African diaspora is very important. We can learn from that as Kenya. I think there'll be a host of other governors, leaders in business, leaders, of course, from civil society, and Kenyans themselves. And the idea here is to share best practice, learn from each other, also just to engage, and then to learn from those who are bringing in experience. And guess what? To draw down on resources both here and internationally, so that then we can promote each other.
Okay.
And our country.
Okay. I like that. In 2012, I think I met Amadou Toure in Nigeria during the cyber crimes conference.
Yes.
And I also met him in Egypt some other time. So I think it's a good opportunity to listen to him again when it comes.
Right.
Yes.
I want to say something about cybercrime before you go.
Okay.
We're all, by the way, very affected by the use of cyberspace. If it is inappropriate, our youth may be, should I say, wrongly educated in some instances towards what might end up as radicalism and extremism. It's important that we watch this space, and we want to learn best practice from Amadou Toure, but guess what? For ourselves. So that's a very important place.
Okay.
I also want to say, for the diaspora, the cyberspace is important because from it we're now learning about blockchain as a modality for remittances. And whatever we can learn about blockchain will help us to secure our remittances if we do it right.
Okay.
The central bank governor himself, a former diaspora, is leaning forward in terms of best practice around blockchain.
Oh, great.
Yeah, the convention is coming up on the 19th to 21st, and I believe a lot of leaders are coming. And distinguished Dr. Ambassador Josephine also will be one of the guests. Man, I mean, she has a lot of knowledge, and we have a lot of, she has a lot of experience we can also gain from her. And mainly, the idea of the convention is to awareness, is to bring people on board, that we do have these people and we do have these kind of things, and with that we can all work together as the the Kenyans and abroad and the local Kenyans here. We both are from the same place, so and east to west, home is best. That's what you said.
Okay.
And basically what I believe is that if we touch bases on what have we done, or we do a survey on ourselves, that the people from the diaspora, what have they done or what can they do? And then we also give a survey to the other side. It helps both of us. It helps both the local Kenyans and to help also the ones in abroad. It will also show the one in New York and New Jersey or in Dallas or in England that, oh, there is the Kenyan Diaspora program where I need to go and see what I can do or what I can offer. So when we do this kind of work, it's mainly advocacy and trying to put the ears of the government and the leaders and the politicians that we have this kind of people who are on this side, who are probably in a way politically marginalized in a way that they say. Okay. Because the other countries, like if you look at France, have a certain number of diasporans who are nominated or given the chance to be in the system. Nigeria, yes, they are parliamentarians. Okay. I mean, we have parliamentarians in other countries that are from the diaspora, and they are given the slots. Okay. Every other country, in this country itself, every other person have been given a chance. Okay. Whether it is women, whether it is in handicap, whether it is other marginalized communities, they were given the chance. I think the Kenyan diaspora, which I believe a high number now, is about 3 million. It should be a chance where they'll be given a chance to be part of the system and part of the government, where we can create ministries and departments that cater for them, so that we, at least when he's been coming back home, is welcome, is told welcome back home, and not to be looked out. I have about 2 minutes, so I'll give you a minute each to conclude. Right. I'll begin with you, Peter.
On 13th next week, we have a flag raising day on the city of on the premises of the Newark, New Jersey mayor's office. We've been given that opportunity to be recognized in our 55th years of independence. Newark is the largest city in New Jersey, just across the river from New York, and that's one of the reasons why I will not be at this conference. I'll be on that. I'll be there next week. What we're doing is just really trying to market Kenya to New Jersey. Just trying to say Kenya has something to offer. Already they know that. We had the President Obama and others, but Ropito, Nyong and others, but they want to let Kenyans be recognized next week in the city of Newark. So we have a lot to offer the country. We are the best ambassadors that are not for pay. We are not paid to do the job.
Thank you. Doctor.
I just want to make a closing remark about diaspora, peace building and democratic change. Right. I think the diaspora are very enthused with the peace building process taking place in Kenya and the entrenchment around the handshake. The diaspora were watching their investment potentially go up in flames before March of this year. Many of them are coming home now to see that actually, guess what, our country is moving fast forward. And we are happy that we have two leaders who have, by the way, embraced not only their differences but brought us together, and with them a constellation of other leaders. We want that to multiply, both from top leadership down to the grassroots and into the diaspora. And guess what, we're happy that our Kenyan diaspora always, or Kenya always, is ahead. When Kenya had the coalition arrangement, the rest of Africa followed. Now we have handshake, we're sure the rest of Africa will follow. And these leaders have pan-African positions. We have now an envoy on infrastructure to the AU. Our own president is Africa's ICT champion. So really, there's so much good. And youth champion. So there you are. We have so much good coming out of Kenya to share with Africa. Diaspora, come home and see, take the message back.
Ambassador Dr. Josephine Ojiambo, thank you very much. Peter Maina, thank you very much. And of course, Abdi.
So 1 minute, when you say you jumped.
No, 1 minute because you spoke last. You have 30 seconds, all right.
I'd like to encourage all the Kenyan diasporas that Kenya is good. I want to put back to the diaspora people up there that they need to think about their home country. Their country is good, our country is good, and we can put forward and work hard to make it better. And I believe that's the only way I can encourage them so that they can come back or they can invest back. So they know from me that Kenya is good. For us, like in Wajir, we're trying to serve with the other Kenyan diasporas that I know, and some of our professionals like doctors. I was talking with the doctor and Josephine about the issue of we're trying to set up an emergency shelter where we will have doctors who will be coming from USA to come and serve that shelter and work with the seniors and children, so that at least it's manned that shelter there to help people who have medical problems.
Okay.
And people will be volunteering to come here. So every person who comes from a certain part of the country can do something for that part.
Okay.
They can get donations.
Okay.
So I think we can do without diaspora, and Kenya can do without them, and we can do without Kenya. So both, we need each other.
Thank you very much, Abdi Durrow.
Yes.
And of course, thank you, Dr. Ambassador. Thank you, and thank you, Peter Maina, for sharing with us. And thank you for watching AM Live.